What is up, adventurers? Today I'm going to be here in Harlem, Georgia, small little sleepy town just about a few hours south of Atlanta, and I am in front of a theater and the hometown of one and only Oliver Hardy of the comedy duo Laurel and Hardy. I'm going to take you inside. This is where he was born. This is the only museum in the United States dedicated to Oliver Hardy, and the only other one in the world. Well, actually, I'd say that there is one in England, because Stan Laurel was British. Anyways, let's go inside and check it out. Let's go adventuring. So the museum itself is actually an old theater here in Harlem. And this is the theater that Oliver Hardy actually went to. It inspired him to want to become an actor. So his father did die while he was before he was even 1 year old. His father passed away, leaving he and his mom and brothers to sort of raise themselves. Well, this played hard on him, and he eventually tried to even join the military, but found difficulty in that. They looked at his size and immediately made fun of him, and he gave that up and made his way back home to Harlem, where he ended up going to the name Oliver Hardy, and then made his way to Florida to become an actor. And the rest is history. So let's take a look in the museum here. This is great. We've got Prospector Laurel and Hardy pinball machine here. And it says Ollie would be very proud, very disappointed if you touch this pinball machine. It's very rare, obviously. This is an example of the diversity of crafts items influenced by the boys and their antics here. There are many different types of toys. You can see figures, comics, flatware, and other keepsakes. And this pinball machine is owned by the Henson family, previously of Grovetown. Captain Rich Henson, his family Jenny, and their children, Evan and Ava, were stationed nearby Fort Gordon. When orders moved them to a new duty station, they loaned the museum their pinball machine. And there it is, Laurel and Hardy pinball machine. This is cool. All right. So we're moving around here. And this is the cinematography book here. 1965 tribute, CBS tribute to Stan Laurel. And there he is with Dick Van Dyke, who's still alive with us. And of course, Stan Laurel was born 1890, died 1965 here in Harlem. There he is, Buster Keaton and Lucille Ball. Of course, they'd have a Lucille doll. And Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly actually did a Ollie and Hardy Stan and Ollie movie. So John C. Reilly played the part of Oliver Hardy. Cesar Romero. So this is a big tribute they did to Stan Laurel. There's Fred Gwynn. You'll recognize him as the judge in Frankenstein from the Monsters, but he's the judge in My Cousin Vinny. Another video I did. There's Phil Silvers. So we're going to look all around here. Look at all these great posters. So they were really popular from 1920, the 20s until, I'd say, early 50s by Hollywood producer Hal Roach. Hal Roach, unfortunately, was a very shrewd businessman, much like, I don't know if you know Elvis Presley's producer and business manager. But Roach got Oliver and Hardy all their gigs together and got them movie deals. But at the same time, he was basically signing them raw deals where they were getting little to no kickback, and he was taking all the money. A little cookie jar there. The Birds of a Feather in Northampton in October 1953 were visiting cities, included Liverpool. So after the boys their movie careers sort of stalled, they needed money. So a lot of them started going to tours of England and theaters and doing live shows. Oliver Hardy, unfortunately, had a gambling addiction, so that didn't help him either. Here they are in 1939. They moved to 20th Century Fox. And unfortunately, Oliver Hardy went through many divorces. Stan Court, as well as Stan Laurel. Due to issues Stan had with Ilania and his disagreement with Hal Roach, his producer, during the filming of Babes in Toyland, Stan left Hal Roach Studios and waited for Oliver's contract to end in 1940. Stan and Ollie's best films were made at Hal Roach Studios. Unfortunately, when they began filming with MGM in 20th Century, they had less artistic freedom as a result, and the films did suffer. They embarked on 3 tours in Britain, Ireland, and from 1947 and 1952, and then 1954. Oliver was 55 and Stanley was 57 at the time of the tour. So Hal Roach made them who they were, but at the same time was taking all of their earnings. This is so cool. You're never going to see a museum like this in America. This is unique to America only. Here's all the cartoons of Laurel and Hardy. Again, there is one. Stan Laurel has a museum in England, being British, but this is Harlem's hometown boy, Oliver Hardy. This is a Spanish Larry Hammond Pictures Corporation Laurel and Hardy book, hardcover book here. Here are some Polly dolls with bells from the 50s, little roly-poly dolls. Oliver Hardy keychain from 1974 and 1986. Some cookie jars from 2000 in coffee mugs, 97, late 90s. Electric drawing set. Of course, here is the hometown boy himself, Oliver Hardy, who actually, his real name wasn't Ollie. He took his name, and then sometime around teenage years, he took the name Ollie, named after in honor of his late father. And this guy was big. He was like over 6 feet tall, 300 pounds. Huge dude. Huge dude. So here's some Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Stan and Ollie appeared in a Scooby-Doo series called The New Scooby-Doo Movies from 1972-1973. The episode appeared in The Ghost of Bigfoot, where Scooby, Shaggy, Fred, and Velma, and Daphne unmasked Bigfoot with the help of Laurel and Hardy. This episode is the 10th one of the season and aired in 1972. So Scooby and the gang come across Stan and Laurel hanging out and having car trouble at a ski resort. The gang, Laurel and Hardy, meet the manager. The gang unpacks and gets ready for bed in their room, but Bigfoot appears and a cat and mouse chase ensues. They believe Bigfoot might be the ghost. That is great. Okay. This museum is so great here in Harlem. It's right off I-20 if you're making your way through Atlanta. All right, so here is a little Laurel and Hardy movie match puzzle, and I'm not going to even bother to do this because I'm going to fail horribly. But these are some of the famous movies, and you have to guess the name of the movies. And a lot of these were with producer Hal Roach, who unfortunately was too shrewd for the boys and took advantage of their kindness and their artistic ways. Here's a great clip. Now, I was doing some research and found that Homer Simpson actually, some say, was an inspiration was inspired by Oliver Hardy. But that can't be officially confirmed. Here's the boys again. So the 1920s, they actually saw a huge change in the film industry from talkies. Of course, silent films were the thing. Many actors didn't do successful, and Oliver and Hardy actually broke that barrier, and they were good friends with, well, at least Laurel was good friends with Charlie Chaplin, and they were good business colleagues, but Stan always preferred silent films because he believed action spoke louder than words, as physical comedians, obviously. Trying to do with his large signs behind the camera to give you your lines, he didn't like that. And that's why they struggled a little bit. Here's the Laurel versus Roach drama. I'll read a little bit to you. 1938, Stan was expected to leave and focus on filming more shorts with Hal Roach. Laurel returned from their honeymoon, and the meaning behind it was Stan was supposed to be filming retakes for Blockheads, another film with Roach. Hal Roach Studios, he took Hal to court. Stan ended up filing $700,000 in civil damages against Hal, and Stan actually won the breach of contract. But the new duo did not work. They were not as funny when Stan and Ollie were paired together. Later, Ileana was fired for drunk driving, fined for drunk driving. She came back to Hal Roach Studios under one condition: he must leave Ileana. She agreed and dropped his lawsuit. Hal Roach Studios. The boys reunited on screen at the Chump of Oxford. So lots of Hal Roach, unfortunately. Again, I keep saying his name. If you're going to know anything about Laurel and Hardy, you got to know about Hal Roach and how he was just a really harsh producer. Here's the boys again. They do have stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, so next time you're on Hollywood Boulevard, you can find their names. And of course, here's the Georgia boy himself, Oliver Hardy. There's Oliver with his family. Now here's one of his Midland National Life Insurance companies. And there's Stan Laurel's name. It's a life insurance policy. And here's Oliver's life insurance policy, and there's his signature. Okay, let's go on this side of the museum now. And this museum is absolutely free. You have to come check this place out. I'm going to donate by getting a t-shirt, I think, on my way out. So Stan Laurel's early movie, Nuts, in May 1917, Huns and Hyphens, Scorching Sands, and Near Dublin, so 1917 1924. So this whole side is dedicated to Stan Laurel, who started his career as a actor in Fred Carmo's acting troupe in 1910. During World War I, Stan Laurel signed up for the Selective Service but wasn't called into active duty. Laughing 20s. So these two guys actually didn't meet until a while into their careers by, of course, Hal Roach. So Stan Laurel was working as an actor. As you can see, they made their mark when they got together. I love this random stuff. Look at this lamp. This is great. There he is, the long face and the big chin, and he put the small hat on himself to really accentuate that. They remind me of something about Mr. Bean, the physical comedy. Of course, here's the hometown boy. There he is. He was born on January 18th, the day before my birthday. His father, Oliver, married his mom in 1890. His father died when he was only 10 months old. Norval, who later changed his name to Ollie, went to Georgia Military Academy at 13 and spent a semester there. He joined a theatrical group. And noticed right off the bat his mother said he could sing really well. So she sent him to Atlanta, 2 hours up the road. And tragedy struck in 1910, though, while swimming in the Oconee. His brother, Sam, drowned. And the Oconee River is not too far from here either. Here's some of the baby pictures of Ollie. There's his mom and his father. Okay, here's some more memorabilia. We've got a bobblehead, Laurel and Hardy. We got a tie. We've got a couple of puppets here. Hand puppets, very nice. Some socks. I think these are decanters. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are decanters. They're Jeep Adventures, and they even had a slapstick board game. Wow. So we'll come around this side. We got our fun gorilla here. Ethel the Chimp was a gorilla played by the actor Charles Gamora and performed in gorilla suits during the era despite the title characters clearly in a gorilla ballet tutu and hat. Gamora reportedly studied great apes and perfectly his portrayal. The second half of The Chimp reworks material from Laurel and Hardy's earlier silent movie, Angora Love. Here's some of their other movie plots from The Chimp. Follow-up to the Academy Award-winning Music Box. Yes, they did win an Academy Award. The short film was released in 1932 by MGM. It was produced by Hal Roach, there it is again, and James Parrott, Laurel, Buffs, Kilgore, and McCobb. The Chimp average presented these reels with sound. There they are. It's basically, to get around this, the boys come up with a plan. Ollie switches clothes with Ethel so she can sneak in disguised as a person. And they have to go everywhere with the Chimp. And they dress the Chimp up in all sorts of silly clothes. That's good stuff. All right, here's another. Laurel and Hardy Way Out West. There's the Laurel and Hardy Festival, what they used to have here. I don't know if they do it anymore. Here's the boys in like a metal bank type thing. Some Oliver and Hardy comic books from 1970s. And a really neat stained glass. I really like this. Remind me of something you'd see in Doc Brown's house in Back to the Future. Don't feed the monkey. And here's some ventriloquy dummies as Laurel and Hardy. These are actually 24-inch ones from the 80s. Under license, these dolls continued in a little guide titled 7-Inch Simple Steps to Ventriloquism. Vinyl heads. Here's pictures of Oliver Hardy during his last 2 years with him and his third wife and childhood friend here in Harlem. Well, no, actually that's not Harlem. I take that back. It's a Christmas card for Oliver and his wife. And they've got a really nice room here where you can go in and watch some of their movies. Of course, here's the Harlem High School state champions baseball team. Go Bulldogs. Here's the boys. Laurel and Hardy themselves. So this is their general museum as well. And I'll just kind of take you through it briefly. It's just a dedication to their town and their post office, residents that died while on active duty serving our country. This is the first stoplight in Harlem in Columbia County, originally placed at the corner outside the museum. And here's an old map of Columbia County, which is a suburb of Augusta. So a railroad engineer founded the town, which was named after a resemblance to the artistic area of New York. There's the water tower with their hometown hero himself. Ooh, I really like this old radio. 1939. Sold in the United States by the Stuart Warner Company. Very deco. And here is the Harlem Women's Club. All right, so behind me is really great. Kind of creepy, but great. This is an old Model T. Don't touch it, but it's got our good friends Laurel and Hardy inside of it. Babe said, no, do not touch that. Some more stuff dedicated to their technology, some of their hometown heroes. Sit here for a minute in the theater and watch one of their movies. And I'm surrounded by Laurel and Hardy posters. Again, this used to be a movie theater. Three Stooges. So walking through the theater, they've got lots of great posters. MGM, Hal Roach, quesos and besos. I hope you guys really enjoyed this trip to the Oliver Hardy Museum here in Harlem, Georgia. I had a blast. I learned a lot. Really bizarre museum, but unique because I've never seen this anywhere else. I'm here with the man himself, Oliver Hardy, and then over here is Stan Laurel. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. I'll see you guys on the next Adventuring with Chris. Here's some more wonderful posters. I really like this one. Way Out West. In living color by Colorization. It's just a shame because these guys were, just look at them. They're so funny. You don't even have to look at them. It's physical comedy at its best. Like if you liked Mr. Bean, these guys are the way to go. And they had to rely on their physical attributes to make people laugh because they were from silent films. And as I'm walking out here on this rainy day here in Harlem, let's zoom in. There's the water tower I showed you guys earlier in the museum. There it is in real time here in downtown Harlem. We've got a porcelain doll here. We've got hats. Of course, a bowler. If you're gonna come here, you gotta have a bowler hat. What the world needs now is Laurel and Hardy. Lots of t-shirts. Sort of like these. Oliver and Hardy Festival. And of course, if you come in here with the kids, you get a little coloring page to do. And they've got some great posters here in the bathroom hallway as well. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll give you a little bit of extra footage there of the gift shop. Bonus footage is always nice. Catch you guys next time. Adventuring with Chris.